welcome back again to my YouTube channel. It's your girl Seddiesnowz, and I highly welcome all of you back to my channel. If you're new and you're watching me for the very first time, thank you so much for finding time to stop by my channel today. And to my returning subscribers, you guys are the real MVPs. Thank you so much for always staying tuned and for always supporting me. I highly appreciate everything, and may God bless you all. So guys, today's video is another story time. Yes, today is another story time, and I'll be sharing with you guys my ordeal sometime at work. So there's this company I was working with. It was an IT company, and I must say that of all the places I've worked in Lagos State, that has been one of the best places I've worked in. And in as much as I enjoyed my stay there were still some downsides. You know, there's always an advantage and a disadvantage to everything in life. So now I'm not going to gush about all the things that made me like the place. I'm here to tell you guys something that happened to me, a quite traumatic and horrible experience I went through while working there. So for the sake of privacy, I'm not going to mention the name of the company. It doesn't even matter anyway, because that's not what I'm here for. So I'm going to start by saying, right from the time I was a child up until this day, I have been battling serious malaria parasite. We all know malaria parasite. It doesn't have to be serious or unserious. Whatever it is, malaria parasite is not good. So I don't know about any other person, but this is my own personal experience. Everyone in my family knows it. That's why whenever I say I'm sick, everyone is up on their toes, trying to make sure I'm fine and all of that. Because whenever I start getting sick, it gets to the point where I am unable to walk. My entire joints become very weak. I can no longer stand up. I can no longer walk. So guys, I was sick. And I started feeling sick while I was at work, but I just felt just one of those normal random headaches. And I went to the first aid box in the office and I took ibuprofen, and I just felt just one of those times when you're feeling a little bit under the weather and it's nothing serious. So I took that, and I can say I was quite well, so to say. And I closed from work that day and I got home. I was feeling a bit strong, like it didn't look as bad as it was earlier. All right, so I was just at home. But then after a few hours, like towards 7-8 p.m., I started feeling so feverish. My entire joints were paining me, and in my mind I was like, God, I can't fall sick now. I do not want to fall sick. This is not the time. Like, there's no time that is right to fall sick, right? But I just was not ready for anything hospital, taking of drugs and all of that. I took another ibuprofen, hoping that I would feel better after a while, but I was feeling feverish. I lay on the bed. My sister had not come back. She went to church from work, so I was at home alone till when she got back. And when she came back, I have this duvet that is very, very thick, like extra thick. I usually don't even cover it on my body. Whenever I want to maybe lay on the floor on the towels, I'll just spread it on the floor, so at least it will be soft instead of just lying bare on the floor. I'll just lay on it. But this time I felt the need to use that duvet. That is to tell you how serious it was. So I covered myself. I was still shaking under the duvet or blanket or whatever it is. And luckily my sister came back, and when she touched my body, she shouted, "Jesus, Sedo, can you go anywhere? Can you go anyway?" It means, what's happening to you? Are you okay? What's wrong? And there was no need telling her anything again, because she's my family and she knows that, oh, it's one of those episodes again. So she just laid her hand on me and prayed and asked whether I had taken something. I said yes. I took ibuprofen and hopefully I'll be fine. So at a point I stopped feeling feverish and the fever had died down. I wasn't burning the way I was earlier, okay? So I just felt like I'm very good to go. I can go to work the following morning. So I woke up as early as I normally used to. I would wake up by 4:30 because I would resume 6. I would resume 6 a.m. because I would want to beat traffic. All of us know the way traffic is very heavy in Lagos State, so I don't even need to go over all of that. But just so I would beat traffic and not end up going to work late. But normally office hours resumes by 8 a.m. But I'll wake up 4 a.m. and I was used to it. So I still woke up as usual and I was taking my bath. And then my sister got up. I was like, Sidu, where do you think you're going to? You were sick just last night. Are you fit for work? I was like, yes, I'm fine, because actually I woke up and I was a bit healthier than how I was the previous night. So I told her I think I can go to work, but then if I go to work and I see that I am not fine, then I would just take a sick leave and come back home. So she said, okay, if you feel you can manage, then manage, but please take care of yourself. So I just took my bath, went to work normally. So as soon as I got to the office, I was feeling sick again. Like, I started feeling the way I was feeling the previous day, and I started feeling cold again, to the extent that I would do anything just to feel a little ray of sunlight on my skin. I was able to manage till around 8:30 to 9 a.m. thereabouts, and at that time the sun had already started rising, so I just went out to get warmth from the sun, because you know, office environment, AC everywhere, and I can't turn off the AC just because I was feeling cold. So I just stepped out of the office and went outside the premises. I just strolled to around the back of the office, and at a point I started feeling very weak, so I just started strolling back into the office. So because I was feeling weak, I just held my hand onto a car that was parked in front of me. So I just laid my head on the bonnet of the car just to gain my balance. And so I stood there for a while, and then the driver of the owner of the car came to drive out, so I had to leave the car. So I just moved away and I just decided to walk back into the office. And from there I just started walking. I was walking very slowly. I can remember that someone was coming behind me. I think it was one of the security guards, and that was where my feet could no longer carry my entire body and I collapsed. Guys, I literally collapsed on the ground. The whole compound was interlocked. The last thing I could hear was, I heard people shouting, like people were shouting around me, and I still remember the voice, like I still remember what I heard. No, I was a supervisor there, so like they call all supervisors Supo. I don't know if you're familiar with all these military and paramilitary terms. They refer to supervisors as Supo. So that's what they call all supervisors in that company. Like, it's Supo they call you. So because the previous day when I started feeling a little bit under the weather, almost everyone noticed. When I was signing out, the security guys were like, you don't look okay, are you fine? I was like, I'm not feeling too good, but I'll manage. So almost everyone knew that I wasn't feeling too good, even my colleagues. Guys, the reason why I still made it to work was because I know the place I used to work, and I know how my bosses would react to stuff like this. Whenever you try to take a sick leave or take permission to go back home because you're not feeling well, or maybe you wake up and you're not feeling okay and you decide to call in sick, they would feel like you're just looking for an excuse not to come to work. So I, just to avoid all that drama and all the negativity, I just decided to manage to work so that they won't feel like I'm pretending or I'm looking for an excuse to go somewhere else and not come to work. That was why I made it to work. But then before I would notice that I'm not okay and I'll take permission, well, I had to collapse. So guys, the last thing I heard was, Supo no strong oh. And that was the security guy that like was coming behind me. I cannot remember any other thing, but I know that people rushed to carry me, and like everyone that noticed, they said they took me to the security house, and then that was where they started trying to make contacts. They called my direct boss. the person whom we answer to, and they arranged for a driver in the company to rush me to the hospital. And those that witnessed everything said the guy was driving like James Bond. You know, that kind of driving that you're trying to beat traffic, you're just moving in and out of traffic and trying to get a sick patient who is at the verge of God knows what to the hospital. So like the whole thing, when I'm talking about it now, I laugh. Like it's very hilarious to me, but at the time, guys, it wasn't funny. Everyone was panicking, my colleagues were panicking, and at that time none of my family members knew what was happening to me. So at the end of the day, we got to the hospital, and at that point I had regained consciousness. So they just brought a wheelchair and wheeled me into the hospital, and I was admitted immediately. There was no time for talks. Like I was admitted immediately, put on drip and all of that. So that was how I fainted at work, because I was too sick, but I was scared of taking permission because they would think that I was pretending or I didn't just want to stay at work. Guys, my advice to you: do your work diligently, but don't try to kill yourself just because you're trying to make someone else rich. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Health is wealth. It is someone who is alive that can go to work and make money. Do not sacrifice your life at the expense of trying to work too hard and neglect yourself. I'm not saying anyone should be lazy. Work hard. But if it gets to the point where your own life will be put at risk, then that is where you have to draw the line. To cut the whole story short, I resigned from that job. I resigned because they were making life unbearable for me. The work was too stressful. Like I said, that has been one of the best companies I've ever worked at, but the work was just too demanding. I wouldn't have time for myself and all of that. So a few months after I collapsed at work, I had to resign. If it gets to the point where you have to work out on the job, do it, just to save yourself and to preserve your health. So guys, that is what happened. That is the first time I would ever faint, as far as I can remember. So the experience wasn't good, guys. It wasn't good. It is also something to thank God for, because I collapsed in an area where people I knew were there. What if I collapsed on a road where no one knows me? Do you know how risky that is? But the Bible says we should give thanks in all things. So I just thank God that it wasn't fatal. It was just as bad as it was at the time, but I give God all the glory because I recovered. And guys, I tell you that when I got back to work, everyone was so excited to see me, because my colleagues were telling me that the day I collapsed, the whole company was on standstill. Everyone was wondering what, if she be okay, what happened to her and all of that. Like everyone was panicking. They had to call an emergency HR meeting to discuss why a staff had to collapse at work, why they had to overwork a staff to the extent that she collapsed at work and all of that. So well, that was what happened, and I just decided to share my experience and to advise all of us to take care of yourselves and not let yourself fall sick to the extent of collapsing before you can take care of yourselves. And I hope you guys enjoyed my video. If you did, don't forget to give me a thumbs up, leave a comment in the comment section, share the video with your friends and family as well. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.